you gotta admit, there hasn't been good news lately for your wallet or mine, but if you are shopping for a brand new electric car in the next couple of years, well, there's actually some very exciting news because electric cars are actually getting affordable. And I don't mean $35,000 Model 3 for a couple of months affordable. We're talking about closer to $25,000. Let me tell you about a couple of affordable electric vehicles that are going to be available to you by the end of this year. And of course, Tom Moloughney is going to join me, but in person right here in Netherlands, where I'm at right now. I'm actually at the Xpong Experience store, and we're going to start right now. Welcome to E4 Electric. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. I know this video looks a little bit weird because I am not in my studio in California, but in Netherlands. It's been a great experience. We're actually going to be heading to Sweden and then Norway to check out a couple of other Xpong Experience stores, but I'll have those videos to you later this month. But let's talk about affordable electric cars that are becoming actually affordable. Now, remember that time when Tesla came up with the $35,000 affordable Model 3 and everyone was yelling and saying, that's not affordable, what are you talking about? And I know it only lasted for a couple of months, but guess what? Do you know what the average price of a brand new car in the US has been this year? When I was doing my research, I got to tell you, I've been kind of shocked because it is way over $40,000. So $35,000 Model 3 sounds pretty affordable. Now, of course, there is no such a thing. Model 3 starts at almost $50,000. But nevertheless, the understanding what affordable is has been changed. Now, first, let's start about talking about what the CEO of Ford, Jim Farley, mentioned this week. And he said there will be war. A price war, but nevertheless for the $25,000 electric car market. Now, granted that the cheapest Mustang Mach-E starts at about $45,000 before incentives, and the Ford F-150 Lightning is starting at around $40,000, but it does look like the entire industry is moving towards trying for a $25,000 all-electric cars. Now, of course, it still blows my mind that people don't calculate the fact that they have to pay a lot of money. I've heard that the gas costs nowadays, plus the oil changes and tune-ups and whatever else you guys do with your gas cars, but we are, for now, at least comparing the prices of the brand new cars when you purchase them at the dealerships. Now, if you remember, for many, many years, the most affordable electric car with a decent range, which means there has to be two in front of it, has been Chevy Bolt until, you know, it started catching people's houses on fire. But today, the cheapest new electric car in the United States that's, you know, not on fire is the Nissan Leaf for under $20,000 after the tax incentives. But this week, GM said that they're going to try to win that title back with their 2023 Chevy Bolt pricing that's going to start at $25,000, thus slashing the prices by about $6,000. You know how many fire extinguishers you can buy for that kind of cash? But if GM can make people forget what really happened with the recall, they can really compete with their $25,000 Bolt, because people who drive Bolts, ask anybody, absolutely love them. And both Tesla and Volkswagen Group have announced that they are also working on $25,000 cars. And on top of that, this week, another luxury brand has announced that they're going to be coming out with their most affordable EV by the end of the year. I'm going to tell you what it is in just a second. But before that, a quick reminder that this video is brought to you by Electrify America, the largest public fast-charging network in the US that provides the freedom for all EV drivers to go where they need to go, including coast to coast. Find stations, start charging, track and end your sessions, all from your smartphone with their mobile app. Download it and find hundreds of locations and sign up for their Pass Plus membership for discounted charging sessions. Get started using the link in the description of this video. It is BMW that announced this week that they will be coming out with their most affordable electric vehicle, the BMW iX1. I'm assuming it's for those customers who can't quite afford the Toyota Camry but absolutely want to buy a brand new BMW. The pricing hasn't been announced, but I expect it to start at around $35,000 after the tax credit. For more, we turn to the host of the State of Charge YouTube channel and a man who I can't afford not to have on my channel. See what I did there? Tom Moloughney. All right, Tom, we're finally, once again, in the same room, never in America. Usually we're somewhere on the other side of the Netherlands now at the Xpeng showroom. All right, well, listen, while we were here, there were a bunch of interesting news coming out about, affordable cars are kind of coming. What are your thoughts? We're at about $25,000 nowadays.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Yeah, we've said this, and I think I've even said it on your show. We need more affordable electric vehicles, and it's been tough to deliver them. It's not like the manufacturers have been greedy. Because EVs have been produced in such low volume, it's hard to get the parts and the components and drive those prices down. Plus, battery costs have been continuously dropping. So we're finally getting to that point now, I think, where we're going to have affordable EVs on the road.
Let's talk about what affordable is, because as we were talking about what we're going to talk about, we had to Google what the average car sales are in America, and I was shocked to know that it's like way over $40,000. I mean, are we in a new world where affordable cars are really no longer that affordable?
Well, I think that's the average cost, I think we looked up, of a new car purchase. Unfortunately, many Americans, many people, in Europe also, can't even afford a new car. So their car purchase is a used car. So, the best that we could do is continue to try to drive down these prices. If we're talking about EVs available in the mid $20,000 range, I think that's going to draw in even more people than have previously bought combustion cars, because there aren't a lot of even gas cars that can suit family needs that are available in the mid 20s.
Now, when you're making a $25,000 car, it is not going to have all the bells and whistles of the cars, the cool electric cars that everybody watches YouTube videos about, right? Lucid and Rivian. For all of the manufacturers to get there, what are the features that they can afford to drop or really lower the standard for, and what are the features have to stay for the consumers?
Well, I think they have to have a decent driving range, and they have to have good charging capabilities. I think those are the two things that you have to try to do whatever you can to build the car around. And as far as everything else goes, it's no different than combustion vehicles that we've had all along. The least expensive cars have less expensive materials on the interior, not quite as premium. There's not as much chrome or whatever trim pieces you have on the outside. So, I don't think it would be hard for me to say what do you have to cut. It's everything. It's just everything gets taken down a notch. There's more hard plastics than nice plush, soft leathers or whatever you're going to have on the inside. But I think we have to make sure that the driving ranges are reasonable, so that it's not just, oh great, look, we put out this $25,000 car, but it doesn't suit anybody's needs. American families and European families need decent driving range and relatively quick recharging speeds if they're going to replace their gas or with an EV.
Well, you're saying decent driving range. What do you mean by decent? Is it different for United States versus Europe?
Well, it is slightly different for the U.S. and Europe. We typically drive further, and in the U.S. we even have a perception that we need to drive further, even the people that don't drive further. So, yeah, I think we're a little bit more range sensitive, and I think in the U.S., I think that range figure has to start with a 2 for it really to be considered for families. Even in the 225, 250 range, I think if we're talking about an affordable car, as long as it can recharge, that, as I mentioned, that those things go hand in hand. Range and recharging are they're stuck together. You can't even peel them apart. But infrastructure is also incredibly important. With the new infrastructure bill, hopefully that's going to increase. We've seen ever expanding infrastructure. You and I have talked about this in the last few years. It's amazing the amount of infrastructure we've had installed. I know a lot of people still aren't happy where we are yet, and I get that, and they shouldn't be, because we're still far from where we need to be. But the infrastructure has increased incredibly in the last 4 or 5 years. I've been around driving EVs for a long time, and where we are right now is amazing. And I think where we're going to be in 3 or 4 years, we're going to have so many more DC fast chargers and public level 2 chargers that people will be able to get by with EVs that have slightly less range, because they'll be able to charge them easily.
No matter what we talk about, you always gear the conversations towards charging. But I understand. Whenever my hand starts getting tired, I know. Okay, but let's get back to the affordable cars, which I understand charging is part of. Speaking of the Bolt, right? It's literally the most affordable car in America before the incentives, which they don't have. But at the same time, do you think Bolt can have a comeback after all of the big mess with the battery and the fact that it wasn't exactly the best looking EV and, it's a GM. Do you think they can have a comeback now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not going to be they're not going to sell 100,000 units a year, but you talk to the general public, they have no idea that there was a problem with bolt batteries. So when somebody rolls up into a showroom and the salesman says, look, I can put you in this car for $199 a month or whatever with $500 down. It's an electric vehicle. You're going to be able to, drive it for maybe $500 worth of fuel a year versus $2,000 what you're paying now. Those things are going to resonate. And I don't think the average person really cares that the previous version Bolt battery had an issue.
Now, as you know, I care very little about profits of the companies and automakers and what I feel like they need to do whatever they need to do to get us here. But at the same time, you're going to start making $25,000 cars. They're already not making that much money on it because obviously it's spending a lot on R&D and building factories. $25,000 cars are not going to, give them too many profits and obviously have that much motivation. Do you think we're at the moment when the most of the especially legacy manufacturers are willing to do that?
So, when you talk about R&D, early on the EVs, when a company poured like BMW, for instance, $1 billion into R&D for the i3 and the i8, you can't just lump all that money on those cars. The things they learned are going to spread across the whole product line. And now that electric vehicle, all manufacturers are making more and more different types of electric vehicles, the R&D gets spread across products. So yes, I think they can make profitable electric vehicles in that price range. And also you got to remember, Alex, now that they're making them in much higher volume, the component cost is going to get reduced. And whereas with electric vehicles of 4 or 5 years ago, manufacturers had to custom make components for the cars, and they were only making them in the tens of thousands. Now there's suppliers that are making all these components because EVs are widestream, and they're making them in the hundreds of thousands and even millions in some cases. That's driving the price down. So I do believe they'll be able to make affordable electric vehicles and still be profitable.
It's great to see you in person once again, but I think next week we're back to Zoom, of course. Yeah. But it's always great to hang out in some different country and actually talk to you in person.
Absolutely. I get to see the crazy in person rather than just over Zoom.
Yeah, when crazy starts, the Zoom meeting ends, but here you can actually follow me around, and yeah, that's true.
Don't worry, everybody. I kept him out of trouble in the Netherlands. I followed him around and made sure he didn't get himself in trouble.
Barely, but we'll see what happens tonight.
Yeah, you might be on your own tonight. Last night was all I can handle, this guy.
True. Now, I gotta say that me and Tom have been thinking about starting our own travel vlog where we'll travel around the world and he will film me trying not to get arrested. We'll name it E for evading arrest. But for now, don't forget to subscribe to Tom's channel if you haven't already. I put a link to it in the description of this video. All right, that's it for me here in Netherlands. I'll be back to my California studio next week. I'm looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.